Okay, the day after the debacle of Raw. Let's put some things in perspective. We are now going to have supposedly 4 people who are going to be working periodically, because what we saw Shane in the opening of the show with Paige, who is now no longer the Smackdown general manager. She's done. You had Vince, who was on Smackdown, but I did not see Triple H and I did not see Steph. But I have to admit that my stream kept dropping in and out. So if I did miss them, you guys can tell me below. Tell me if Stephanie and Triple H was there, because I didn't see them. But we now have 4 people responsible for both shows. Not talking about NXT or 205 Live or Main Event. Or I believe Superstars is still in existence. I think it's just Main Event. We don't know. As far as I know, we don't know. But on Raw and SmackDown, that's what you got. Raw was garbage yesterday. Garbage. Now we look at SmackDown Live, which we know has always been the better show because they've been booking better. But does it mean it's better? No. Nothing's changed. To me, a dream match happened, which meant nothing. And I'll explain that at the end of my review. Because you probably already saw the thumbnail. You'll understand what I feel about it. But let's start up with what happened between The Miz and Vince and Kenny McMahon. What the hell was that? I don't understand the direction they're going with The Miz and Shane McMahon. I don't see it. I don't see it's going to be good. Basing it off that the Best in the World trophy really was nothing, and this just adds to it. I just don't feel like anything important is going to happen. Now, mind you, what did we get? We get 3 tag matches throughout this night, and one of them is the one Vince booked himself. He said to The Miz, what do you want? Miz says, I want to see your son. He said he's busy right now, can't come out to play. He says, I want your blessings to be a tag team with your son. He says, I don't give blessings to anybody. Well, that's not exactly true. What did you do for Drew McIntyre? You gave him the moniker the Chosen One. So you do give blessings. Bullshit, Vince. Bullshit. Anyway, he books this match, which made no sense. R-Truth and Mella versus Miz and Mandy Rose. Really? Really? One of the matches is not the opening, but really one of the matches. Is it the opening? Wait. Was it the opening? No, it wasn't. You see how this show was not that great. It was okay. Well better than Raw, but it was just an average show. But thinking just now, I'm going, what? I watched this match and I'm going, why? Why? And worse yet, look, Mella's beautiful. Mella got a gorgeous body. Mella, from what I understand, is actually a nice person in real life. But as a wrestler, she's not that good. And in fact, the best thing she does is to rarely wrestle and be a manager. That is her role. That's the way she should be. And when you saw her do that head scissors with Mandy Rose, it was so slow and janky. It was bad. So that shows, one, Mella didn't do her job very well. Then Mandy Rose, who is still green. Mind you, if you put them both side by side, they're both eye candy. Both of them are gorgeous. Mandy's a much more physically stronger woman, obviously. But even she couldn't save that. She barely was able to keep her in her neck. And then when it came to R-Truth and The Miz, they made this very quick, very simple, and The Miz and Mandy Rose won over the mixed match. What was the point of the mixed match challenge? Yes, both the competitors get a chance to be in their respective Royal Rumbles, and both of them now have a chance to be last in the Royal Rumble. That is a spot you don't normally get. But why would you have them job right after TLC? Aren't you supposed to give them something interesting, like maybe let them go down to WWE studios and the headquarters and actually be vacationing? Why are they on the show? Why didn't they just get sent over to WWE Studios and WWE, well, I don't think WWE Studios is in Connecticut. I think it's somewhere else. I don't know. You guys can tell me below. Why were they not at the headquarters? Why not do the next couple of weeks before January, having them hang out there? No. You have them on the show. They job. I didn't care. Next. Uso promo was okay. The Good Brothers come out. Anderson, Gallows. 4 months being gone. Not surprised. They're not my favorite tag team. But I can understand them saying what they said. Then we have an supposedly impromptu match. Because they were ready to go. Usos are ready to go. Pretty much, I'll take this back. The Usos said, you know what? We're not the one who caused this, dog. But you know what? If you want to step up, it's fine. But you better make sure if you're stepping up, you better be backing it up. Because if you're not, you better just go stepping. So they come into the ring. And instead of letting them have a fight, I think the fight would have been better than the match. And I'm not saying Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are bad wrestlers. They're not. We know the Usos, out of all the wrestling tag teams on both shows, they're one of the best. I think they are the best. They're pretty much the best tag team they have in the entire company. I'm sorry. The most promoted, who can consistently do the job very well, even when they're given bad storylines, they have been consistently the best. But in this situation, I didn't care. Because nothing's talked about when it comes to the tag team belts anymore. For the simple reason that supposedly now rematch clauses have been abolished. Now, before I get any further with Sanity and the Bar coming out, I'm going to say this when it comes to that little clause. That clause should only be enacted in special occasions now. By eliminating it completely, you are basically telling the fans, we don't do feuds anymore. We're just going to do matches. Because when it really comes down to what it really boils down to it, sometimes you need that rematch clause to make the feud special. Now, I'm not saying to do it every single time like they've been doing it. But by abolishing it completely, that's if they are abolishing it completely, across all the belts, including the tag belts for the men, the tag belts for the women, the women's title, the IC, the US, and both championship titles. When it comes down to it, if it is totally gone, they made a serious mistake and they need to use it only in special occasions. That's when it'll make sense. But as it stands, I don't see feuds working very well because they're not going to be really meaning anything when the tag belts, the world titles, the IC titles, and the women's titles are up for grab. But in the end, unfortunately, I didn't see the ending because, like I said, the stream kind of acted up. I don't know what happened between the Usos and Gallo and Anderson. I only saw when Sanity came out, and then when the Bar came out to pick up the scraps. So when it comes down to it, what exactly we're going to be doing here? How are you going to be able to gauge who's going to deserve to be the next ones to go after the tag titles or the IC or US title? I don't know how they're going to do it. How do they do it? They're going to do gauntlets? They're going to do random matches? What? So I'm not totally opposed by it. I just don't know what's going to happen. Now, Shinsuke Nakamura had a segment. Since we have not seen him for months, upon months, upon months, upon months, and he didn't even show up at TLC. He didn't even show up at TLC when he should have. If the US title was there, you could have put him on the kickoff, or at least put him on the main show. Nothing. So when it came down to it, it was boring. Boring. What he did, showing Rusev on Total Divas caring more about his legs than anything else. And now when Rusev does his... Look, we know Rusev can talk. Rusev can talk if he's given good material to talk with. If that was ad-libbing, he needs work. Because I don't think that was ad-libbing. I think that was a script someone gave him. It sucked. Now the question is going to be, what is Lana going to do? I don't know. Seeing Lana say nothing. She didn't. The last couple of times that Rusev has had interviews, Lana's been silent. Either they told her to be quiet or she's not saying anything. Lana is now just basic eye candy. Candy. And the kicker for me is that Rusev is going after the U.S. title, which means nothing. Not only because it's Nakamura, who has not been on scene TV for months. Very rarely. He's going after a title that he's held maybe twice now and has gotten nowhere. So, fresh things, fresh matches? I don't think so, ladies and gentlemen. I don't see nothing. Now, let's see here. Let's do the Samoa Joe part with Jeff Hardy. Look, as I said before, when they add real things into a storyline, it works. Depending if they book it properly and if the guys are really interested in it. In this situation, it's a real thing. Jeff does have a drinking problem. He had a DWI, I now remember. I can't believe I forgot the name of, well, I'm not even going to say the name because I will forget. Driving under the influence. I would forget. But let's make it very clear here. No, driving while intoxicated. I'm sorry, you see, this show kind of pissed me off. For the simple fact is this. You got Jeff Hardy, who they could do something really interesting with. You got Samoa Joe. They can do something really interesting with. Then you got this feud, which means nothing. Because Samoa Joe has been booked so badly. Jeff Hardy was booked really well when it came to, well, to a certain extent with Randy Orton. But then when the blow-off happened, it didn't really mean much after that. Because he wasn't doing anything after that. He didn't go into the main title scene. He didn't become a tag title holder. He didn't work with any main tag teams. He's just been left floating. So when you bring these two together and that little part about him talking with Joe saying, look, I know I have my demons, but I'm never going back to that. And Samoa Joe trying to screw with him about it. But then when he said to Samoa Joe, you know what, this may be your insecurity. Because what have you been doing lately? And what happened? Samoa Joe attacked him because he said that. You know, it's like Vince legitimately is doing these little parts into the stories to really piss off the fans. Because we know Samoa Joe should have been treated better. We know Jeff should have been treated better. We know Shinsuke Nakamura should have been treated better. We know Rusev should have been treated better. And they've done none of it. And I don't see anything different here. Next, AJ Styles and now Mustafa Ali is on the main roster of Smackdown Live. I don't know if that's good for him. Hopefully it will be, but I don't know. Then Andrade, see, I'm almost finally remember the guy's name, and NDB. I'm calling the new Daniel Bryan NDB. I'm just calling him like that. Was it a good match? It was the match of the night. Honestly, it was the match of the night. When you look at Mustafa Ali and Andrade, see, almost they are so good. I'm not a high-flying wrestler fan. I'm just not. I don't like high-flying all the time. But I have to say what is there. Now, I think they still scaled it back. I don't think SmackDown Live was going to let them go all out like on 205 Live. So I think they were going about half of their potential. But still, it was acceptable. There wasn't that many matches on the show. And generally speaking, the matches weren't great. But, let's be honest, Almost and Ali did make the match a lot better. It just did. In the end, Mustafa Ali gets the pin on NDB. What? Interesting. And here's the thing I say what for. What now? Does that mean he gets the title shot now? Or does this mean that he has to wait? What about AJ? He doesn't get a rematch clause. What does this mean? How many matches before anyone gets their title shot? That's going to be the question now that the rematch clause is gone. I just don't know. Finally, the dream match that meant nothing. I know no one else is going to care about this, but I have to care about it because I do care. Opening of the show. Once Asuka, once Charlotte, where Becky comes out, they had their say. And tell me, she's in my face right now. Why does Charlotte look so awkward with that makeup and lipstick on? I don't know what it was. When it came to her looking like that, she looked funny. There was something wrong with her. She looked off. I don't know. I don't know nothing about makeup. I just know when a woman looks good and a woman doesn't look good. And Charlotte didn't look good. She looked like she was sick, like she was strung out on drugs or something. It wasn't because she was wearing black. And it wasn't because she don't have no hips. It's because that makeup on her face made her look like she'd been doing drugs in my area. I'm just being honest. But in the end, you had Vince come out eventually telling Becky to shut up and take what happened. Because in the very beginning, Becky wanted to have what was hers, which was the title, because Ronda Rousey screwed her over. So when it came to Vince, he pretty much said this: anything goes in a TLC match, which is true. You want her, you have to deal with her on your own time. Pretty much, you want to get something, go after Ronda. Does that mean she can go to Raw now? Does that mean she's going to go to Raw, or can she just go and appear on Raw when she wants? Who knows? But in the end, Asuka was not even a major spotlight here. It was always about Becky and Charlotte. Asuka is not the spotlight, which I was worried about, which is now being confirmed. Vince said, Asuka, do you want a match? She pretty much was jumping up and down happy. And then Naomi's music hits and she's standing right next to Vince. Barely says anything. She says, I haven't had a chance at that title. I want it. It's mine. And Vince let her go. Well, I'm beginning to botch my words because, look, you guys know how I feel about Naomi. I love the woman. She legitimately shows her emotion. But here's the thing for me personally. I know Naomi's not a great wrestler. Top 10 wrestlers: Becky, Sasha, Bayley, Asuka, Mickie James, and at the bottom's going to be Charlotte. I don't care what anyone says. I see Charlotte for what she is. She's not an adaptive wrestler. She tends to be a lot more botchy than anyone else. And because she's her dad's daughter, Ric Flair, everyone gives her a pass. So she's at the bottom of it. I will not say she doesn't have potential to be a great wrestler, but she's not the best. But I know Naomi's not one of the best wrestlers. Top 10 is those women I just mentioned. 8 is Charlotte. Naomi's about a 6. And I know she's a 6. But the thing I wanted for Naomi is to deal with someone who's a 9 or 10. And that's Asuka. Asuka is a 9 or 10. And what I wanted was for Naomi to have a feud with Asuka so she can learn to go from a 6 to an 8, maybe to a 9, to learn how to be a better wrestler. I wanted her to have a feud with Asuka. For months I've been wanting it. Hell, I wouldn't have had a problem if she had dealt with Charlotte for a little while. But remember, and I want everyone to remember this, Charlotte had one match with Naomi. It was botchy. They were both botchy. But the minute that match was over, you never saw Charlotte work with Naomi again. Ever. Due to the fact that Naomi isn't a Sasha, isn't a Bayley, isn't a Asuka or a Becky. She can't adapt to Charlotte like Charlotte needs her to be adaptive to. Naomi is a good wrestler, but similar to Charlotte, she doesn't adapt as well. Now, mind you, and being honest here, Naomi can adapt, but she's not as fast as everybody else. I'm just being honest. I love Naomi. She's a good wrestler. She can adapt to a certain extent, but she's not like the others. She has a lot to learn. I really believe she can improve. And when you look at this match, the beginning of it was a bit botchy. I'm not going to lie about it. But as it went on, Naomi did show that she has ability that can work in the ring and work with Asuka. Admittedly, I wish she hadn't said strong style, baby. I wish she had not done that because she's not strong style. She's an aerialist wrestler. She's a high-flying wrestler that can do some ground. She doesn't do strong style very well. She needs to work with Asuka for a long time to get strong style. And she isn't. And in the end, she had a good match with her. Not a great one, but a good one. But she did lose. And this was about Asuka having to prove, and I repeat this, having to prove that she can hang with Becky and Charlotte. Because this was not about Asuka at all. This is about Charlotte dealing with Becky and Asuka having to prove that she can deal with either one of them. This show didn't give us anything substantial. Yes, it gave us a few fresh matches, but does not mean the show is better. And if anybody thinks the show is better, explain to me how. Because it isn't. Particularly that I see Naomi going to be thrown to the wayside because, simply put, you're not going to see her wrestle Asuka or anyone else again for quite a long time, if ever again. This was just to get Asuka over. Not to get Naomi a chance to really be considered something. And I understand that, but still, it's just sad to see this could have happened months ago. A real feud between two good wrestlers, one great wrestler in Asuka, and a good up-and-coming wrestler who can get something great from Asuka. But this is my point of view. You guys tell me below. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace!